Betting on sports can be hard, but hiring Morgan & Morgan is easy. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/bestbets or dial pound law, pound 529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/bestbets. This is a paid advertisement.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network. Un partido de números, for those listening in Spanish. Coming up on the show, Pete Fiutak talking college football with us. Will Hill with all his plays. Jake Hahn standing by to talk some hockey. It's Gill Alexander, Kelley, Bydlon. Right here, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, however you're taking us in, we appreciate it. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate y'all for chiming in. Jason McKinney at TRH Golfer says, can't believe the Merrill snub. He's calling it a snub. People are angry. He says, but I'm still mad that you were talking Skeens up, Gil, when he was 3-1, and I was out of state and couldn't hedge. By the time I got back, it wasn't worth betting. The cooler is going to bet the commies this week, he's saying. Sorry.
I meant to ask you this last time when you were or when we were talking about it earlier. Merrill, fair to say most other years would win or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And I do wonder also, like, you know how Strider didn't win it famously? I do wonder if the voters want it, part of the vote. I wonder if there was one or two voters. We'll never know the number if there were any at all. But if there were a few voters who were like, yeah, I probably got that wrong. Let's give it to a pitcher. It might have been that too. Touchdown Jesus, tearing a page from the Kelley College Football Guessing Lines book. I followed along with Drew and on Franz Wagner, big for most improved. In parentheses, he goes, psst, what team am I watching to see him play?
That would be the Orlando Magic.
T for 3. After the legendary Soto, Stroud, Hamlin future flops, I am not apologizing for 30-1 on Skeens and a couple at 18-1. What a roller coaster. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah,
on Paul Skeens, baby. Well done.
I believe Matt Brown hit a couple. Yeah. Shocker. LSU,
yeah, shocker. By the way, I'm the dumbest of all because I watch the College World Series. I'm betting on the College World Series. I obviously am completely hip to Skeens and how big he was. And key cog, of course, in LSU's championship run. Did I ever bet Skeens? No, I didn't. Yeah. I just, for whatever reason, I never got involved.
Great betting conversation throughout the entire summer, though.
Well, yeah, but it got to the point with the Skeens Merrill thing. Remember, like the last time Jason was on, I was like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like I kind of shut him down. I was like, we don't have to do this again.
Oh yeah,
because we talked about it a million times.
Hey, breaking news: the baseball season's way too long, and then they do the awards 2 months after it.
We said damn near Thanksgiving. Literally, the MVP will be a week before Thanksgiving. It's
crazy.
Incredible.
That is crazy.
Let's talk some hockey, shall we?
Let's go.
With Jake Hahn, everybody. You can follow him on Twitter at jhahn. That's JHAHN4, the number 4, jhahn4 on Twitter. Comes to us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Jake, how you doing, man? You good?
Good to be here, boys. I will say baseball can go forever for me. I'm happy with the longest season possible. I know people call it too long of a season, but I love me some baseball. I'm already missing the MLB.
I do too, and I thought like betting monthlies this year, monthly best record, was just such a great betting advent by these books, and we did it every single month of the year. We won one, the Houston Astros, and I believe it was June. We came one out away from hitting a 65-1 in March, April. So it was really awesome. And I'm like you, Jake. I'm still one of these old school baseball fans. I love it. But waiting all this time for awards is a little mashugana. Like, it's kind of stupid.
No, I'm with you on this as well. And actually, NHL, we're going to get into some hockey here. They do it very similar, where it stretches out basically right to the draft. And you get to find out these guys that won regular season awards after you just watch 2 months of playoff hockey. And, you know, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So I always say do it right after the regular season. Like, let's just get this done. We all know who we're voting for. Don't stretch it out, especially with betting markets now, guys. And you follow this very closely. We have a really good idea of where these awards are going to go. So to have them kind of sitting there for a couple of months, I think it's better just to get it done as quickly as possible.
Jake, by the way, I didn't give him his street cred. Jake, of course, the co-host of The Point, the fantasy hockey show on Sirius XM NHL. What about NHL awards? Anything that piques your interest currently?
Well, I think there's some very interesting markets, guys. And now we've watched, about a month and a half of the season so far. So you can really start to form some opinions on some individuals, on some teams as well. I think the Rocket Richard race for most goals is actually a very nice market to get into. Now you can take your pick. There's a lot of different options on this board right now. But Austin Matthews in Toronto, he's the favorite coming into the year. He should be the favorite coming into every year while he's in his prime. He's missed the last 7 games and still no timeline in terms of when he's going to return. So I'm not saying he's out of it. I mean, if he comes back next game, he could go on a run. But with him, kind of taking a little bit of a back seat here, I think it does open things up to the board. We're seeing Alex Ovechkin, guys, turn back the clock. It's just been incredible.
Are.
5 goals in his last 2 games. Unfortunately, he left last night's game in the 3rd period, so there's some concern over a possible injury for him. I think most of the league crossing their fingers, hoping that this is nothing long-term for Ovi. So he's in the mix. I don't mind Matthews' teammate in William Nylander as well, a guy that you feel like is a threat to score most nights. You could still get some good numbers on him. And Sam Reinhart, who went over 50 goals in Florida last year, running it back again this season, proving last year wasn't a fluke. Those are a couple names I think to keep an eye on there.
The Ovechkin thing is fascinating to me. Obviously, I grew up on the Caps, but in the last 3 years, we've seen what we thought was the age curve, right? 50 goals, followed by 42 goals, then last year, 31 goals. And so, again, a little sports talk radio here. The big record that, of course, is in sight is Wayne Gretzky's most goals ever. No one will ever catch Gretzky for most points ever, obviously. But when it comes to goals, Ovechkin, the thinking coming into this season was, okay, because of this age curve, it's probably not going to be this year. It's probably going to be next year. Now, let's see if the injury is anything. But if it's not, you have a guy right now who leads the NHL in goals with 15 already in 17 games. Like you said, 5 in the last 2. What do you make of that? By the way, the Caps playing really, really well on top of that.
Well, and I think your last point there, Gill, is the big reason for this. The Caps are playing well. The team is playing well. The team is taking pressure off of him. He doesn't have to play 20, 21 minutes every single night. He only has to play 15, 16, maybe 17 minutes, depending on game situations. And they're going to put him into those scoring areas, right? They're going to give him all the power play time he wants. First unit, second unit. That's been no difference throughout the course of his career. And he'll get those empty netter opportunities. I think he only has a couple of those this season. But he's gonna be put in the scoring spots, and he's got some guys that are taking the pressure off of him, and the team is playing well. And I think emotionally too, that's just helping him, right? He's on a team that's winning, that's back at the top of the standings. As much as this guy's looked at sometimes as a selfish goal scorer, he's a team guy as well. He wants to win, and I think that this is getting us to see the classic Alex Ovechkin again, guys. So assuming there's no long-term injury here, I think he's going to do it this season. It was one of my bold predictions on our show to start the year that I thought he was going to put up a number to really chase Gretzky this season. So with the start that he's on, I mean, he's on a pace to blow past it at this point, guys. He's on like a 60-goal pace right now. So hopefully he's not injured. It didn't look great when he left the game, but it was a game that was kind of in hand for the Caps already. So maybe you look at it and say they were taking their precautions and just hope we get some good news today on Ovi.
Gretzky with 894 career goals. Ovechkin currently now with 868, 26 goals behind the great one in fewer games. But again, we're not making the case. There we go. Hey, wait, that was the Gretzky alarm. It was like, don't ever compare me to Ovechkin. I'm so much more of a hockey player. I know you are, the great one, Wayne Gretzky. But 26 goals shy is Ovechkin of the record. And I just want to point out in the Maurice Rocket Richard Award category right now, Leon Draisaitl, the short shot at 5-1. Austin Matthews is at DraftKings 6-1. Nikita Kucherov at 7-1, and then grade 8 Alex Ovechkin at 8-1 in that market now. It's unbelievable. Can you just explain to the casual hockey fan how has he made a career? Last thing on Ovechkin, how has he made a career just planting himself in that one spot, right to the left side of the goal, and like no one ever can figure out that he's there?
we have spent the better part of I've been working at the station doing these shows for probably about 10 years now, guys. We've probably spent the better part of that trying to figure exactly that out, like how teams haven't figured out exactly what he's trying to do. Right, he plants himself in that spot, Gill, like you said, on the power play. If we got a heat map of all of his goals, chasing Gretzky here, a large percentage of them would come from right there. So I mean, I think obviously having good teammates on the ice helps him as well. Backstrom for all those years, and now we're seeing a bit of a new look Capitals team. Take the defenders away, take the penalty killers away, free up that space for Ovi. But his ability to find that space is just incredible. And teams have tried everything to try to stop that, and it never works.
It's amazing. Winnipeg Jets were 15-1. They've lost 2 hockey games in a row. Oh man, they stink. Are they the best team in hockey in your opinion, or no? Is it somebody else?
I don't think they are. I think they had the best start, obviously, with that record. It was very impressive, and they were full marks for it. I mean, there was nothing fluky. If you watch those games, they were taking it to teams, taking it to good teams. I still think it's the Florida Panthers until proven otherwise, guys. They just waxed Winnipeg over the weekend. They get a rematch tonight back in Winnipeg. The Jets are actually a slight favorite now in this game. We have seen a little bit of line movement. I believe Florida was a slight favorite when I checked this line last night. So money has come in on Winnipeg to sort of flip this thing and say, okay, they're going to get this one back on home ice. But I do still think the Florida Panthers are the best team top to bottom in the NHL, guys.
What did you land on today, either in that game or something else?
I'm going to go to the New York Rangers out in Vancouver here, guys. Even though it's 30 years later, it's still a Stanley Cup final rematch. So we're still going to look at it like that, even though it's all these years later. I'm going to go to the Rangers. It seems like they're cranking it up a little bit. And Vancouver's got some issues, coach benching a star player in JT Miller. It just seems like things are a little bit off there, kind of playing win one, lose one hockey. So I like a more complete Rangers team in that game. And give me the Ottawa Senators on home ice. I would love a bit of a bigger price against a team like Edmonton, guys, but this is 3 road games in 4 nights for the Oilers. Not crazy in terms of travel, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, but the Sens have been frisky. I'll call them frisky this year. So to get some plus money with them in what I think is a tricky schedule spot for Edmonton, I'll take that.
Jake, you are always a joy, man. Thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah, love joining you guys. Hopefully chat again soon.
Absolutely. Jake Hahn, everybody. Once again, JHahn4, the number 4 on Twitter for all of his stuff. Again, the co-host of the Point and the Fantasy Hockey Show on Sirius XM NHL. The Ovechkin story really is unbelievable.
Oh, it's crazy.
Just all of a sudden, like after last year, like, well, probably be next year, probably not this year, and then bang! Hope he's not hurt too seriously. How about some college football? Pete Fiutak on the other side. What's the team that he feels, of the non-obvious ones at the very top, could make some noise in a college football playoff? His thoughts next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Nothing, and I mean nothing, delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle. Save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code NUMBERS. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code NUMBERS.
That's numbers. As in a numbers game, Gill.
And a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code NUMBERS. Minimum purchase may apply. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback.
Try to mess with me.
Y'all are the best. Jesse Welch. If you find value on the Cavs tonight, I would suggest also targeting the Cavs' first loss market on DraftKings. You can get 14-1 on the Pelicans to beat them tomorrow as the Cavs come off a tough back-to-back leg versus the Celtics.
Glad this was brought up. Shop around for where, I don't know how many books have that market posted. I'm going to go the other way with it, Jesse, but I'm glad you tweeted this in. If you like the Celtics tonight, compare what the money line is on the Celtics to that first loss market, because I saw a couple that were a little off, that they were actually getting a little bit better with the first loss being the Celtics tonight instead of that minus 210 money line.
That's right. So that's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Right. Juxtapose the game line with, or the game money line with that market.
I also didn't get a chance to ask Drew this. I'm on the Celtics as well tonight. I think if you like Boston tonight, I think adding I added a plus 350 this morning for them to win that group. I think that makes a lot of sense too. So just something to keep in mind if you're a big game tonight in the NBA.
Huge game. Little early season Super Bowl between the 15-0 Cavs and the defending champion Boston Celtics. Celtics 5.5-point favorites. By the way, you see the Warriors Clippers last night?
Yeah.
Warriors with opportunities to put that into overtime last night. It was an unbelievable final possession. The Warriors did not have their A game and almost won. No, the Clippers have beaten them. The Warriors have this great record this year. The Clippers have beaten them twice now on the second leg of back-to-backs without Kawhi Leonard both times. Very strange.
2-1 night for me in the NBA last night. Dubs was my one loser. The Clippers, this Clippers team has been impressive, man. It is getting it done with all the pieces.
It was all 3-point shooting, though, both ways last night.
Yeah. But I was not expecting this team to play as well as they have with the pieces that they're missing. For me.
Warriors are so deep, man. They go stretches where Curry, Draymond, and Wiggins aren't even on the court.
Well, and Kerr's been bullish about that early in the season where he's like, I'm going to play 12 guys. I'm going to play 13 guys. Yeah. I'm going to play 18, which aren't even on the roster.
Let's see here. Real quick, Corbin, holy crap. If I hear one more person say moonball to describe the offense of the Steelers, I may go insane. Russell Wilson throws a couple deep balls, and he's all of a sudden a moonball manic. Give me a break. Getting to the receiver room territory. Getting to receiver room territory. Yeah, people don't say that as much, do they?
I almost laughed in the middle of Jake's segment when I saw that Corbin tweet that, because it is I feel like it started in his final years in Seattle, but it was a lightly used term, and oh boy, yeah, I agree, Corbin.
Yeah, John Balduzzi.
I'm as guilty as anybody.
John Balduzzi, selfish goal scorer, spoken like a true Sid fan. Nobody called Ovechkin a selfish goal scorer, did they?
I don't know
where that came from.
I also asked you, isn't that his job?
And then futures bet. First thing I thought of when Skeens won, as the writer's mea culpa, was Strider. Just like you said, Skeens had 170 strikeouts. Skeens had 170 strikeouts in 133 innings. Strider had 202 in 132 innings. Skeens' other numbers were better, but Strider was beyond dominant. Yeah, the Strider thing still makes no sense. Let's talk some college football. Pete Fiutak joins us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line at Pete Fiutak, Fiutak, on Twitter. He is, of course, the creator, the czar, the emperor of collegefootballnews.com. How you doing, Peter?
Speaking of selfish goal scorers, here I am. How's it going, Gill?
It's going very well with your.
That's all me. I'm always ready for. I'm the one who's always going to take that shot. That's me. I have no problem with that. If that's my moniker. If I'm Ovechkin, I take that and run. I'm happy with that.
The wife still has no problem with the Guy Fieri thing in the background. She's got no problem with that.
It is. It's just part of the deal now. It's part of the fabric of the office. It's again, the kids gave it to me for a gift at one point, and. Until I can figure out in 20 years, I haven't figured out a proper configuration of this office. So at some point I will for the background.
I mean, at this point, though, you should be getting a paycheck from Guy Fieri or something. We should send him some of these segments.
Yes, you. All I ask is that he puts a proper sports bar on the San Diego State campus now that his kid's going there. If he can do that, then we're all good.
Let's talk about some. I teased this before. You're a self-admitted Power 5, let's call it Power 4 now, snob.
Yep.
I want to ask you a different question. I want to ask you, what is the team, not of your usual suspects, that you would think of first, Peter, but some of these other teams, Colorado, BYU, whoever it is.
No.
Hold on. I haven't even asked the question yet. See, he can't even do it. He's like, no. It's just a reflex. I want to give me a team that Pete Fiutak is even willing to concede could get into the playoff, right? That's not one of yours, right? Not the Ohio States of the world, right? Not the Blue Bloods. One of these other teams, quote unquote, that you, Pete Fiutak, believe could actually win a game in a college football playoff, and maybe two.
Is Notre Dame off the beaten path enough?
Oh,
is that
okay? All right.
Well, no. I mean, you can't. I can't make teams better. I keep saying this. I can't. I wish I could make these teams better at college football. I can't. I can only see the future. I can only make people money by telling them what's going to happen here.
All right. Let's try. Let's try it this way.
But if you're saying who can be like a TCU is what you're saying. Who can be? Here's going to be the problem with all this is that we'll see tonight a little bit when the rankings come out. The rankings and the seeds are going to be vastly different. So what you're going to see is like a Colorado is probably going to be a 3 seed. A Boise State's going to be a 4 seed. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to see like 5, 6, and 7 are going to be in some form like Penn State, Notre Dame, Indiana, because they're all going to be 11-1. And because here's your big reward for being a higher seed. You get a home game. You get Georgia in the first round. You get Ole Miss in the first round. You're going to get these SEC teams who are going to have 2 or more losses on the bottom here. So even though we do have, I do love the format now where you do give a Boise State not a shot at this. In terms of actually winning a game, your first round matchups are going to be against these SEC powerhouses. And so when you're talking about who could actually win a game getting in this thing, I mean, it's going to depend on the day, because what we don't know yet is this thing's going to go so long that these powerful teams, my snobbish, Power 5 teams, you're going to get into late December and the national championships late January. If you've got a lot of NFL guys, they're going to start getting itchy, because they're going to realize that this playoff thing's fun and all, but I don't want to break my leg and lose my $100 million and get at the next level. So the long-winded way to answer your question here, on the right day, right time, out of the complete blue is, yes, you don't want to really deal with the Colorado offense right now, because on the right day, that thing could absolutely blow up. I think Indiana could absolutely do it. Now, again, this is not the NCAA basketball tournament. You can't get hot for 3 games by shooting threes and hope that you're in Central something state's going to do stuff. It is going to be the Blue Bloods, because overall, the bigger talent, the more depth, long playoff is going to probably play out a little bit more.
Okay, well, we got there. We got a concession of some kind. I just think it's going to be fascinating.
They're all Blue Bloods in the tournament. So,
well, I mean, they're not all Blue Bloods. December 20th, 21st is the first round of the college football playoffs. Cannot wait. This is going to be so awesome. What do you like best this weekend, sir?
All right, so I can't find the exact date, but I believe it was 2001, where there was a trend in mid-November where all the double-digit home dog conference game teams were just crazy the other way. Just crazy. All the double-digit home dogs were all up. Like the Cicadas, however can they come out every 18 to 20 years or so, they have reared their heads over the last couple of weeks, where the double-digit dogs aren't just covering, but like crazy, they're hitting. And so I don't know if we're a little late on this. I don't know if the teams are going to start gearing up, but now you get a combination of, teams are already kind of bowl set. You do have the thing about the playoff where a lot of these teams are kind of set already, and you have senior days, and you have, desperate teams with nothing to play for at this point, where you do get the teams that skew the other way. So on the overall, if you do the same bet on every single one of these, you're going to end up going against logic and reason. You're going to be up overall. So you've got a Kent State tonight getting 10 against Akron. Kent State's awful, but again, Akron's awful. But Kent State, they lost to a lot of pretty good teams. Akron's not a good team. Florida getting 10.5 against Ole Miss. They're starting to play better. Minnesota getting 12.5 against Penn State. That's a dangerous game for a Penn State team and a Minnesota team that needs to keep winning. Wyoming 22.5 at home against Boise State. Oregon State 12.5 against Washington State, and Ball State 11.5 against Bowling Green. Again, they defy logic and reason. Some of these teams are going to get absolutely rocked, but overall, the double-digit home dogs are going to end up winning.
All right. Cicadas, by the way, I believe every 17 years, Pete, if you're scoring
I know,
at home.
I lived through it, so yeah, you're right. So I just dealt with it. I should have been better at that. I'm sorry. I'll be better.
It's all right. You'll be better next time. Thank you, Pete. Always appreciate it, man.
Later, guys.
Pete Fiutak, at Pete Fiutak, Fiutak. Again, collegefootballnews.com. Great trove of college football news. Will Hill with all his bets on the other side. Numbers Game VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Take your betting to a whole nother level by playing the ponies on First Bet. From Del Mar and Gulfstream Park to Kentucky Derby and Preakness, First Bet has you covered. Sign up at firstbet.com. That's the number one, stbet.com. Use promo code VSiN200 to claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days, up to $200. Head to firstbet.com today. I'm not going to read a whole bunch of tweets, but let me read a couple tweets. We got tweets at Being the Book. Steve Soriano. I'm convinced your buddy Drew doesn't even watch the NFL. LOL. That's what he said. The Detroit stuff got people messed up.
Yeah,
they're not happy about that.
It was funny. I was going to defend. I'll defend him real quick. The numbers conversation for the division stuff and the 1 seed That makes sense. He's just going through betting numbers and odds of what he has priced out properly.
That does make sense.
Now,
yes.
the like 4 other notes he made about the Lions, that's where I was like, all right.
Yeah. Well, I give him credit, though, because he's willing to stand on his beliefs and say it out loud. Mako, shades of Mako. Boise, to your point about Fiutak, he said Boise can get a potential first-round bye, and they were readily available still at 100-1. Call me crazy, but I think a strong running game can take down any team, and I'll take 100-1 with a team that may only need to win 3 games in the playoff.
Yeah, but like Pete just said, nobody just rolls into Laramie, okay, and gets out of there unscathed. Did I get the city right? Right, Laramie, Wyoming.
You know, something. Can I be honest?
Shout out
about
Tom Check.
You know, we were talking earlier about power ratings and stuff. You know what? Also, a big this came up this morning because I was going about my day, driving on in. You know what is still like one of the big weak spots for bettors? And I'm not talking about power ratings. What are you laughing at?
Wyatt confirming Laramie for me. Thanks, Wyatt.
I came in today and I heard someone was talking about how they're so upset at their San Jose State bad beat. They were on the other side of they had San Jose State, I believe it was, the Spartans, in that game this weekend. Or was it the other way? I forget. But it was a bad beat in that game.
What happened?
In the Spartans game.
No idea.
Because they were covering the whole time and then they didn't at the end.
Oh, yeah.
So they were talking about that. And then at the same time, and this is just this specific example, but a lot of bettors run into this, which is at the same time then they had a win, which they don't acknowledge their great fortune at all, right?
Oh,
so when you lose, it's bad luck. But when you win, it's all handicapping.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas was a ridiculous win. Sorry, people, against the spread. I know everybody had Kansas. Complete luck, right? First of all, it was the Retzlaff interception at the end of the first half, which was good fortune. But the punt, which banged off it bounces off the BYU player, and then one guy has a complete easy shot at recovering it, and he can't snarl it, and it goes right into the hands of Kansas. Congratulations, Kansas bettors, but please don't process that as it was your handicapping. Stop it.
I feel like I've already heard a lot of Kansas for this week again.
Well, okay, that's fine, but like what I can't deal with bettors is that you have to be able to acknowledge not just when luck went against you, but also when it went for you, and that's how our human brains are wired.
Oh, totally.
You know,
and if you don't, like, you're not gonna last long doing this because. It's just you're gonna think you're the unluckiest person on the planet if you keep thinking
that's
that way.
right. Steve the Proxy. I did a search for MVP history. Elway in '87 is the last person who won MVP without winning the division. If he doesn't win his division, I don't want to hear about Lamar anymore. It's Allen this year unless he throws 5 picks like golf. Of course, I'm holding a golf ticket. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Hill joins us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. He, of course, is the host of the Shoulda Bet More podcast and part of the Chris Felica Bear Bets podcast empire. How you doing, Willie?
Gilly, Kelley, what's going on, guys?
It's great. I also forgot to mention you're part of the Megapod, the greatest of all of your accomplishments, wouldn't you say?
I would say. I would agree with that. Starting to creep up on you guys a little bit. Yeah. Starting to just lie in the weeds and try to put these good weeks after good week together and hopefully make a run here. Did
Wishnev hit his play last night? I forgot to look.
I don't remember who he had.
Yeah, I don't remember who he had. I'm either a game and a half or a half game behind him, and Willie is the sneaky, freaky brother sneaking in from the rear, is what he's trying to tell us. Okay, let us begin with the National Football League. Drew was talking about some division bets. You have some thoughts.
Yeah, I do think I haven't played any sides yet in the NFL, but I do think some of these divisions are interesting, and I didn't hear Drew. I'll go back and listen later. San Francisco, I don't think. Look, I saw the odds to make the playoffs like 2-1 with their schedule. It's just not enough. I don't think they're probably going to get a wild card just because you have Green Bay, you have Minnesota, you probably have Washington. Those guys are going to be hard to catch, although you do get Green Bay head-to-head this week, and that would give you a tiebreaker. But they're plus 350 at DraftKings to win the division. I haven't bet it yet. I do feel like, it's a little bit of what's the expression? Catching a falling knife, where it's like, oh, this is the week. It just might not be their year. It's almost like a bad baseball team where, sometimes when they hit, they don't pitch. When they pitch, they don't hit. They just find ways to lose. San Francisco continues to find ways to lose. I am still intrigued, though, with that talent at plus 350. I know I've been high in Arizona, and maybe they are legit. But getting that number on the 49ers is interesting. Tampa is 4-1 at FanDuel to win the South. Atlanta's schedule coming up, it's interesting. their schedule. They don't play again until December 1st because they have the bye. It's just, I know people make fun of me all the time. The season really does fly by. Only 2 weeks left in the college football regular season. It's just, it amazes me how quickly it goes. But when Falcons come back to play, they play the Chargers, then at Minnesota. Tampa's got a really easy schedule, a bunch of games against the Panthers. So I think Tampa at 4-1 is interesting. Then the final one, Baltimore plus 160, just because Pittsburgh has a tough schedule. And Baltimore's already beat Cincy twice, so they can they don't have the tiebreaker now because they lost to Pittsburgh, but they're going to get Pittsburgh in their own building, which will even out that tiebreaker. And then if Pittsburgh drops a division game to Cincy, then division record is the next tiebreaker. So Baltimore maybe has a chance to control it. I'd ideally like a little more than 160, but I do still think Baltimore plus 160 is a good bet. So 3 of these, with big plus signs, I think have value. And anyone that has free bets or whatever, they do let you parlay these. So if you got, a free, whatever, $10, $20 max bet and you want to bet a little to win a lot, that parlay pays like 220 to 1 or 50 to 1. Then there's another one you throw in there. It's like 200 to 1. So you do parlay. You can parlay them if you want to go that route.
I'm totally down with what you're saying about Baltimore. I think the fact that they're plus money given Pittsburgh's schedule is ridiculous. I'm all about that. And the Tampa Bay thing, I totally agree with as well. At Giants, at Carolina, home Vegas, then at Chargers, at Dallas, home Carolina, home New Orleans. Like you have to come up with a maximum of 2. If you're doing the whole win-loss thing, and I know that's, rife with peril, but if you are 2 losses max, maybe the rest of the way, they do have to, they've lost 4 in a row. So like I say that, but I'm like, okay, you play the Giants this week, you do have to beat the Giants and Tommy DeVito.
I think
they got swept by Atlanta. They don't have the tiebreaker.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you guys are making great points on the Ravens. I think it goes back to, I think I'm going to have to bet a bit of Lamar MVP. Because think about the tweet you just read, division winner, if you put yourself in that division.
Smart, Kelley Bydlon.
I think that's the bet. And anybody who listens to this show knows there's no bigger fan of the planet of Josh Allen than me. I should have gotten a ticket forever ago. I do think it's swung a little bit too far. I think at 2 to 1, or if you could find even better than that, I think Lamar's a good bet.
It's we talk about all these awards, and we're talking about Skeens and Heel having won in the Rookie of the Year markets. It is interesting. Like we talk about all of these awards markets. And I know some people will, maybe you're like this, where you have something in almost all of these. For some reason, I just don't end up involved in a few of these. Like, I can't believe that I never got involved in Rookie of the Year in Major League Baseball. So you do have I don't know. Some people are involved in 10 different awards markets across a couple of sports. I'm just not that guy ultimately. I don't know if you are.
Speaking of Rookie of the Year, I almost remember the scene in Rudy where the guys come in and they lay down their uniform and they want, hey, give my uniform to Rudy. I was going to do that with my segment for Jason Weingart because I know he's fired up over the Rookie of the Year. I was ready to just hand him my uniform, let him come on and play for me.
We got a few. Can you have Jason on tomorrow request? I'm like, Wednesday, relax, everybody.
Yeah. I think as a producer of this show, a day for him to cool off might be in our best interest.
College football this weekend, Will, what you got?
A lot. It's funny. I'm going against Kansas this week. I was on right around this time last week, and I gave out Kansas. I didn't know that the whole world was going to end up on them too. And by the way, this going to try to choose my words carefully here. This whole cottage industry of the books need this team, so bet the other team. I can't get into that. It's just too much. The books need BYU. I can't get into that stuff. But look, Kansas was outgained by 120 yards to BYU. Even though I had him, I wasn't impressed. I just think Colorado. If you can't rush the passer, which Utah did, but I don't know that Kansas can, Colorado's got a lot of skill. Their passing game's really good, and this is not going to be the typical home field advantage playing at Arrowhead. So I got Colorado futures. I don't know that I'm going to add more, but I'm not on the Kansas train this week. And I know we're running out of time, with a minute or so left. I actually think Hunter at minus 400 is way, way too high for the Heisman. I wrote for Fox last week at even money. He was the best bet, but he got an interception tipped to him. He got burnt a couple times in coverage. They drew up a play to give him the ball to get a touchdown to pad his stats. I hope he's winning. I got him 6-1. I don't have the best number on him. I just think if you can get a yes/no, like a no price at 3-1 or plus 250 might be the way to go. I don't think that line move was justified.
Okay. Any other college football thought, or was that was the whole of them right there?
I think Notre Dame is going to roll. I think against Army, I think it's going to look exactly how it looked versus Navy. I think this team's going to be overmatched. I don't want to sound like a Pete Fiutak snob here, but I do think Notre Dame rolls and wins pretty big.
No one hates that cottage industry of what the book needs more than I do, but I never talk about it because I don't want to kill anybody else's livelihood because that's their thing. But I will say this. It's akin to if life were a sporting event and people were reporting what the IRS needs every week.
Yes.
It just drives me crazy. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it.
See you guys. Thanks.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Coming up at the top of the hour, Money Moves with Stormy Bonatoni. Let me say that better. Money Moves. Stormy's guest today. You ready for this? Adam Burke. Stormy and Burke.
There we go.
Looking forward to that, noon to 2
Power
Eastern. What'd you say?
That's a power duo right there.
Power duo. Followed by Prop Points with John Hansen from 2 to 3. Then Make It Rain with Adam Shine from 3 to 4. Your morning right here on the Sports Betting Network. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I said morning, but it's really into the midday, I should say. That's where I got
caught Adam Shine doing cut-ins for CBS, I think it was this weekend.
That. Yeah, Jim Nance threw it to him. Adam Shine, what's the latest?
I don't want to speak completely out of turn. I think I caught Adam talking on Twitter, though. I think it was his first time doing it, but it was, man, he sounded great.
You know what?
Was awesome.
I had the same reaction. I was like, does he always do this? Did I always miss this?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think he was filling in. But Adam, great stuff, man.
That was right before Jim Nance was like, that's the greatest play of the NFL season. And I'm at home going, really? The greatest play? A 26-yard run? And he's like, let me explain what I mean.
Let me immediately walk that back.
Brings us to our G-Bank Best Bets of the Day is what that does. G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Kelley, you and me are first. I have one from yesterday from Guessing Lines. I'm on the Baltimore Ravens. It says -3. I actually bought it to -2.5, -126.
Oh, okay.
Monday night in the Har Bowl.
The screen lies.
I'm on John over Jim. I guessed 4 in that game, and you said at the moment it was 2, and then you checked it and it was 3 by the time. It was 2 earlier in the show. It was 3 by the time we got to it at the end. So I am in the books though on the Ravens -2.5. You have a bevy.
Your turn on the Ravens. I feel like I should go back to the well with them this week, but man, last week was painful. I might be joining you tonight in the NBA. Thunder laying 8.5 against the Spurs. That's up to like 9.5 right now. That's getting a little steep, but the Spurs, Wemby is doubtful for this game tonight. This is Thunder playing some very interesting lineups. We talked about all the great center depth they had before the season. They are now without Chet and obviously Hartenstein, so they are playing a very small lineup. Jalen Williams, who we saw at the top of the MIP board, most improved player, playing a little Magic Johnson center action that they're doing right now. So the smaller squad, Zach Collins would be filling in for Wemby for the Spurs, but I think this is way too much, especially if Wembanyama is out of this game. So late 8.5 with the Thunder, up to 9.5. I think that's where it's probably 9.5, 10 is probably where it's more properly priced. Celtics, I laid 4.5 last night on the opener. I think 5 is fine. Drew talked about it earlier. I think this is where the Cavaliers run comes to an end. I also do believe that if you are betting the Celtics in this game tonight, add on at least a sprinkle for them to win the East Group C. They have some easier opponents after the Cavs tonight. They already have a loss to the Hawks, but it's Wizards and Bulls, I believe, that are the remainder of the group. They will be double-digit favorites or near double-digit favorites in each one of those games. So I think a good ad playing them to win East Group C. And then NFL bets I made. Eagles -2.5. That was on that look ahead on Friday. We talked about that with Steve Fezzik. And then one teaser for me, Lions and Niners. And then I have a one or two other that are basically carried over from this past week.
Okay. Drew Dinsick checked in earlier with us. He had a couple NFL plays. He is on the Brownies Thursday night, taking the points versus the Steelers. Is that pick starting to feel a little trendy for you? Browns Thursday night. Drew's on it. Browns plus 3.5 versus the Steelers.
I hadn't heard. I was actually, I didn't bet on it, but I used the Browns as a contest play last weekend. No, you were on the Saints betting wise. Man, I think my biggest takeaway from that game was the Browns defense. Not only is it beat up, but they look like they've kind of quit on the season.
I just did not understand why the line was what it was. to begin with, and then the Browns took money on top of that. He's on the Browns plus 3.5 Thursday night against the Steelers. He's on the Colts taking the points versus the Lions. All you Lions fans out there, he is not as impressed as most. Colts plus 7.5 points against the Lions. And then he is on the early season NBA Super Bowl, if you will, tonight in the Emirates NBA Cup. Celtics, the defending champs, 4.5 point favorites. Defending champs of the real NBA, not the Cup. 4.5 point favorites against the 15-0 Cleveland Cavaliers. Remember, Adam Burke is on with Stormy today, so he'll have some thoughts on that, I'm sure, as well. Jake Hahn checked in with a couple hockey plays. He's on the Rangers tonight, even money versus the Canucks. And he's on the Sens as well, plus 105 versus the Oilers. And then Will Hill, not to be outdone. He's got the Ravens to win the AFC North at plus 160. I believe he said the Buccaneers as well to win the NFC South.
He said he was still considering that one.
Okay.
Ravens he was betting, though, today.
Okay. He's on Colorado versus Kansas. I'm totally with him on that. And then he's taking the Irish, laying 14 against Army in the second to last regular season week of the college football season. Once again, GBank, the official bank of VSiN, the sports betting network. Best Bets brought to you by GBank every day. The GBank Visa Signature Card, your best bet, delivering 1% cashback rewards on eligible gaming transactions and 2% cashback rewards on all other eligible purchases. For more information, head to VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. And tomorrow, I will have a NBA improved market bet, and we will also talk about the team that will end up with the worst record in the NFL. That market is pretty fascinating.
It's very fascinating, yes.
Looking forward to that. By the way, this I just want to read this tweet here from New York Mess 16. Oh, thank you, Gill. Kansas was total luck of a bounce, and the Kansas backers are now saying they're rolling and going to take care of Colorado with no problem. Did they watch the game? Come on, man. Yeah, I find that ridiculous.
Keep getting me fired up. I'm ready to bet Colorado. I just learned a couple weeks ago how well they were doing.
Remember when you're like, remember your line was, do people know about this? I do think, though, what you're saying, though, there's a point in that, which is, again, last year through the first 3 weeks of the season, we were all in the content business rooting for this Colorado story to just get more interesting.
It was massive.
It was unbelievable. And then, of course, Dan Lanning with his comments, which I still can't stand that he made, where he was like, we're not flashy. We're like, okay, Dan, relax. And Colorado then sort of petered out, and we never really spoke about them nearly as much. Then this year, they get blasted by Nebraska. And it kind of, I will admit, it kind of took me off the scent because I'm like, wow, they're not very good at football. They're 8-2 good is what they are.
I mean, outside of Travis, I felt, from my perspective, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders were still being talked about. I had no idea the team as a whole was doing way better than what they were doing last year.
Well, 8-2, not only 8-2, but 8-2 controlling their own destiny, 8-2, with this game coming up against Kansas as the first of those controlling of your destiny games. 2 Heisman hopefuls, obviously, in Travis Hunter and Shedeur. And look, the thing about what you were saying is Dion is a lightning rod, right? Mm-hmm. Sports talk radio, it's a love or hate situation. Yeah. And Dion is not shy about voicing whatever's on his mind at any time. And so he brings that out in folks. And I do think now that they're doing well, I do think there's a segment of folks who were so eager to hate on him, who are now just they are silenced. They are completely muzzled. So I do think there was a kernel of wisdom, and you're like, do people know about this? Well, they do. They're just not talking.
What do you make of this Heisman race? It's very fascinating.
I think Travis Hunter is way too big of a favorite.
Yeah.
I don't think minus 350 is accurate.
We giving this award to a running back these days?
If there was ever a year you did, this is it.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty of Boise State, who's a great kid, plus 380. I have a Jalen Milroe ticket. I think there's still a path where that happens. But I don't think minus 350 is accurate at all on Travis Hunter. What's more interesting to me is the number 1 pick in the draft, which is going to come down to, as it always does, is who gets the number 1 pick. If it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're probably not picking a quarterback still. Hate to say it, right? But they're still in the Trevor Lawrence game. And so, in the Trevor Lawrence era, if you will. So, it's not Shedeur if it's them.
Yeah, but they might be, they're one of the more interesting teams when it comes to the package deal we've heard discussed, right?
that they have an overhaul with coach, that it would also be their,
because you're an NFL team playing in college football country. If you can get Deion Sanders, a Florida State legend, from just a few hours down I-10 there in North Florida, to come over to Jacksonville, that's interesting. Whatever they can do to put butts in the seats.
I think the Cowboys package is definitely possible if it goes that way. If Dallas ends up with a first pick, are you kidding me? Oh my God. The Deion Shador package.
Isn't that same argument though as Jacksonville? I mean, they're paying Dak.
No, because I think that Deion would be more willing to go there. I hear what you're saying, right? But I do think that the Jaguars are more, maybe I'm wrong. I just think that the Dak thing is on its way down. And I think they get that it's on the way down, and that whole team is on the way down. Whereas I think in Jacksonville, they have this strange hope that they're actually on the early side of a curve that could still get them better. Like, take out this year, right? Yeah. Last year, they weren't that bad. But I think Dallas, I don't know how you can process it otherwise than we didn't pay anybody this year. We can blow this whole thing up.
And I'm just sitting here wondering, I would rather have Dallas's pieces still, even for the long term.
So they did pay Dak in the end, did they? So. Yeah. I still think that Dallas is more likely for Deion.
Well, that Cowboys connection makes sense, yeah.
Well, we were going to talk NBA Cup. Do you have any plays? You're on Boston, right?
Yeah, you're on Boston. Yeah, Boston night, Thunder night. Boston win the East Group C.
Emirates NBA Cup, catch the fever, or not. Money Moves is next. Stormy and Adam Burke enjoy from VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.